Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and I'm here with a diplomatic briefing about the defense ministers' meeting in New Delhi of the countries that are members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In 2023, as you all know, India is the president of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, an organization consisting of 8 members, and Iran is going to be the ninth member. It's going to be joining at the end of this year when the heads of states and heads of governments meet. It is composed of 8 countries, 4 Central Asian countries: Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, and 4 other countries: India, Pakistan, Russia, and China. It appears that basically it has 2 kinds of countries which are from Central Asia and countries which want to influence these countries from Central Asia. So it appears that India, China, or Russia are partly competing and partly cooperating in order to exercise influence in Central Asia. Russia sort of dominates the security side of engaging with Central Asia. China is the biggest trading partner for nearly every Central Asian country. India is trying to develop diplomatic relations based on connectivity, internet, and also on intelligence sharing in trying to combat terrorism, especially coming from the AFPAC region. Pakistan is kind of an oddball in this mixture. It is, shall we say, like China's sidekick as far as SCO is concerned. So at the defense ministers' meeting, so first let me talk about the 2 sideline meetings that took place. India's defense minister met with the Chinese defense minister and also with the Russian defense minister. The India's meeting between Rajnath Singh as well as Li Shangfu, who is the defense minister of China, was very interesting. Since the border episode in Galwan in 2020, India and China's relationships have become, diplomatically speaking, less and less friendly steadily. And India has been moving closer and closer to the West, particularly to the Quad, which consists of US, India, Japan, and Australia. And the closer India gets to the Quad, which has been created essentially to counterbalance China's influence in the Indo-Pacific region, India becomes further and further away from China. So in the last 2 years, India and China have moved apart diplomatically, and there have been tensions, and as recently in Arunachal Pradesh, when the Chinese try to cross India's borders. I don't know what their intentions was, but they usually try to take away more and more land. So it is in this context that the fact that the Chinese defense minister came to the SCO meeting in India and participated in a bilateral meeting with the Indian defense minister, I think is a very positive thing to say. Even though nothing concrete has come out from that dialogue, there have been 18 meetings between the 2 sides to resolve the border issues. But nevertheless, the fact that India and China are conducting such high-level bilateral meetings clearly says that there is hope for diplomacy and there is hope for these 2 countries to resolve themselves. I strongly believe that if India and China do not become friendly, and not just friendly, but partners, strategic partners as soon as possible, this century will not be the Asian century. The 21st century will be an Asian century only if India and China cooperate. If they are hostile to each other, if they try to contain each other's development and growth, then both will suffer. So for me, any diplomatic engagement between India and China is positive for both those countries. And on another note, I have a feeling that if the defense ministers are able to meet, it is quite possible that later in the year, when you have the biggest highest level SCO meeting with heads of states, then it is quite possible that we might actually see a bilateral meeting between Xi Jinping and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We thought we would see something like that in Samarkand. That did not happen. Both the leaders were there in the SCO meeting. Then they were there again in November in the Bali meeting for the G20, and there was no bilateral meeting on the sidelines there either, but I hope there will be one here when and if Xi Jinping comes to India for the main summit of SCO. The media is paying a lot of attention to the fact that India said that the border issue is the basis of India-China relations. I would like to differ with that. I think that the fact that India and China have over $130 billion in trade in 2022, and the fact that China is the second biggest trading partner of India clearly suggests that there are more than border issues which are the basis of Indo-China relationship. And if India-China's trade grows, and it should, because these are two of the biggest of the five economies in the world, and they are bordering states. So if both their trade grows, then I think trade and not skirmishes on the border should be the biggest basis and the most important basis of the relationship between these two countries. The more these two countries focus on economic development and trade, the more friendly they will become and less hostile they'll be to each other. The more they focus on geopolitical issues, the bigger the distance between the two countries, and the chances are that India would get caught up in the geopolitical struggle between China and the US. The second bilateral meeting that was important at this was between India and the Russian defense minister, and there was discussion about how apparently more than 60% of India's defense, critical defense equipment, etc., comes from Russia. India is trying to further intensify its defense relations with Russia in order to bring technology from Russia to help make in India a bigger initiative, especially in the defense sector. So in that sense, the meeting between the Indian defense minister and the Russian defense minister was important. Pakistan again chose not to participate in this fully. They did not send anybody. The Pakistani defense minister was scheduled to engage virtually, and as I did not see that meeting. I understand that someone else was subbing for the Pakistani defense minister. I cannot confirm them, but it appears that Pakistan has developed what I call now for Pakistan is diplomatic COVID. So it's as if that they are suffering from some kind of diplomatic COVID, and they are not willing to participate in international forums. They're doing it by sheltering at home and engaging through Zoom and virtual appearances. It also shows that Pakistan is so marginal that no one considers that the SCO defense ministers meeting was in any way diminished by the absence of the defense minister of Pakistan. There have been interesting things in the formal event. India emphasized the need to target terrorism, especially coming from Pakistan. I predicted this the whole week since the Poonch attacks, that India will use SCO as a forum to highlight the cross-border terrorism that India is a victim of, and they will use this forum to try and build allies within the SCO membership to focus on cutting away support and financial and other support to terrorist groups operating within the SCO countries. We already know that on the level of national security and intelligence sharing, India and some of the members of the SCO, which surround Afghanistan, which is Central Asian countries, are already cooperating. Last November, there was a meeting in Delhi where the national security advisors of many Central Asian countries came to India and engaged with Ajit Doval, the national security advisor of India, and focused primarily on cutting funding to terrorist groups that are operating inside Afghanistan. So in that sense, you could argue that this was an important event for India. While there was criticism of the West from Russia and China insisted that the border issue between India and China was quite stable. I think that it was an important event. And there will be lots. We will hear a lot more as countries continue to issue statements, and we'll see what else comes out. So I hope you found this briefing about the defense ministers meeting in New Delhi of countries that belong to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization helpful. So please subscribe to Khanversations, ring the bell icon, and don't forget to share it with your friends and others. Thank you very much.